News Station.
Welcome back to KRON 4 News Weekend. You know that 10% of the time spent on the internet is spent social networking on sites like Twitter and Facebook, as well as LinkedIn. But there is apparently a dark side to social networking. And joining us this morning is David Gerwitz, a special interest online. He writes special interest online magazines, and he is a cyber terrorism advisor. Good morning, David.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I guess it's appropriate you're joining us through Skype this morning. You're in Florida. Talk more about social networking before we get into the dangers of it.
You know, when it comes to social networking, it's not what you know or even who you know, it's who knows you. And that's pretty much where the trouble starts. Social networks have been growing at breakneck speed. Approximately 10% of all the time spent online is devoted to social networking, and about 2/3 of the world's population visits social networking sites on at least a once-a-month basis. So this stuff has been growing at phenomenal rates.
And do you think all these are going to survive? Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, it seems like there's a new social networking site or idea popping up. Are they all going to wind up merging into one, or do you think we're going to have these separate entities as we go into the future?
Well, you know, it's turning out that there's 3 or 4 flavors. You know, back in the day when eBay got started, there were thousands of auction sites, and pretty much eBay settled down as the main winner. And the same is true with a variety of sort of genre networking and internet sites. There's usually 1 or 2 winners for the type of service they provide. In this case, it's pretty clear that Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn each have their own flavor, but clearly MySpace, for example, is hurting pretty hard at this point. They've done some pretty major layoffs. The question with Twitter, of course, is whether they can handle the growth and the load without any kind of business model at this stage. You know, I mean, they've been very major recently in world affairs, and yet you're talking about a very small company with no form of income. So it does remain to be seen. Most likely they'll either find a business model or they'll be bought by a much larger company. But the solution that Twitter provides, the 140-character quick way to get real-time information out, I think that's going to survive for a very long time. And likewise, Facebook and LinkedIn meets a different group as well. LinkedIn is very much business associates connecting with other business associates. So they're a little different from Facebook, which is friends connecting with friends.
And as we put ourselves out there on these social networking sites, what's the main and number one thing that we should be careful of?
Well, I think there's really 4 major risks that exist out there on social networking sites: employment issues, reputation issues, malware, phishing, and identity scams, and some physical security concerns. And the first 2 really boil down to what you say. Do you say the right thing or the wrong thing on a social network? Do you come across as dangerous, or, you know, do you come across as disrespectful to a company that you're working for? Do you post, you know, drunken messages or pictures of yourself at the wrong time in the wrong circumstances, those sorts of things. The second 2 relate to risk-related things that can affect your pocketbook or your physical safety. Malware and phishing scams are those things that are outside entities, usually organized crime located in countries like Russia or Belarus or China, who are attempting to separate you from your money. And they do that by either installing software on your computer that scans what you do, or they do it by trying to build a profile of your identity and then selling that on the black market so that, you know, people can buy your credit card information, your driver's license number, your social security number, your birthday, and so forth. The physical security and stalking issue is the one that becomes most interesting with social networks and is perhaps the scariest, because many people tell social networks, and therefore the entire world, where they're going to be, when they're going to be there, exactly what time they're going to be, and so forth. I know a very senior business executive who runs a multi-billion-dollar corporation and travels all around the world. He will Twitter exactly what gate and what flight he's on in every airport he's going to across the world, opening up all sorts of really dangerous risks for, you know, potential executive kidnappings and so forth. More close to home, kids and adults are posting their locations. There's always, you know, we've all had the crazy girlfriend or the crazy boyfriend who wants to stalk us, and, you know, so posting where we're going might open up the situation where you have to have a face-to-face encounter with somebody you might not want to. Those sorts of things become a real risk in the physical world. So what we're seeing is this online world transcending itself into the physical world.
You mentioned children, and I think as a parent, a lot of us are all concerned about our kids' activity on social networking sites. What advice do you have for parents? Should we have their passwords? Should we be spying on our children and seeing what's on their Facebook pages?
Well, I don't think that the spying is the right term. And I don't think you're going to be, I mean, kids are a lot smarter than the rest of us. So we need to be aware that, probably the greatest force in the universe is a teenager with a computer. But the thing that we do, the benefit of things like Twitter and Facebook is that you can watch what your kids are posting. So you can follow your children's Twitter account and look at what they're posting. Likewise, you can do the same with their Facebook pages. And you should make sure that you know what your kids' Twitter accounts are, or Facebook pages or MySpace pages, and look at them and make sure they're posting intelligent, smart things. Now, when I say that, I'm not talking, I mean, kids are going to be kids, but you want to make sure they're not doing things that are going to cause them harm or going to cause their future harm, or saying things that are just wildly inappropriate that later when they apply for college or any number of things are going to come back and haunt them as well. So it's an educational opportunity, but you definitely need to keep track of what your kids are doing online, not only on Twitter and Facebook, but in general what they're doing online. If they're playing online gaming, you should pay attention to that as well. Make sure what people are chatting back and forth with them on. Instant messaging is the same thing. I mean, parenting was a lot easier when I was a kid, and all my parents had to do was look outside and see who I was playing touch football with. But now it's really important for parents to have a very good online understanding of what their kids are doing, hopefully without violating their kids' privacy. But keep an eye on them, and moms and dads have a pretty good radar for when kids are beginning to stray. When that happens, it's time to have sit down and talk with them.
David, really appreciate your advice this morning. David Gawartz, a cyber terrorism advisor, and thank you for your advice on the dark side of social networking. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Live Skype connection from Florida this morning.